Welcome everybody to the Giver Method channel. My name is Jake and I'm so glad you're able to join me. Now, today we're going to be talking about how you can rediscover your passion and your purpose after a long season of feeling really overworked or burnt out, and how you can do that without having to completely overhaul your life. Now, this is something that might feel deeply personal and at your core if you've been there before. You know, if you've ever looked in the mirror and you've thought to yourself, like, where did I go? You know, not physically or anything like that, but like that part of you that used to, that used to light up with some of the different small things of life, that used to genuinely get excited about life. You know, when you're constantly exhausted yet restless, like, something important is missing, but you can't remember what that thing is. When you struggle to remember what you used to enjoy beyond just getting through each week. So what that could look like is maybe you're a parent who's been stuck in survival mode for years, always taking care of everyone else's needs. And now you can't remember like what you enjoyed before the endless to-do list. Or maybe you're an entrepreneur who you poured every ounce of energy into building up what your business is. And now you feel like a machine, like that's just on autopilot, wondering what happened. Like what happened to that original spark when I got started? Or maybe you're grinding it out, in a demanding job, working away, showing up every single day, but feeling like you're just going through the motions. Like you've become a professional at completely numbing yourself out. Now, if any of that sounds like you or slightly resonates with you, then I want you to hear me. Like that passion, like that alive version of you, it's not gone. Trust me, it's still there. Like you didn't lose it forever. It's still in there quietly, like under these layers of the busyness and the burnout that happens. And here's what I've discovered through my own journey, as well as what I've worked with hundreds of people who feel exactly like you do, is that passion doesn't return through these dramatic life overhauls, quitting my job or starting these, like it's not done through escaping into these crazy fantasies. It returns through small and consistent connections, like to what actually matters to you, woven gently into like existing life. The key isn't abandoning your responsibilities, because you can't do that as a parent, an entrepreneur, working away hard. Like you can't do those things. It's about learning to find meaning and joy in the things that you have to do, in the responsibilities, in the day-to-day. So I want to dive deep into that with you and help you unpack it so that you can start living your best life, a more fulfilled life filled with all sorts of joy and happiness. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder. I'm the author of this book. It's called The Giver Method. It came out in November. Since coming out, it has sold thousands of copies. It's become an Amazon bestseller and has tons of 5-star reviews. And what people love about it is it's helping them, like it's got worksheets, exercises, all sorts of things built into it. And it's helping them their gifts and superpowers. Find that spark that's deep down inside of them and start to create more influence and impact in their lives and in the lives of those around them. Create more value for the people that they interact with daily and start to build deeper, more meaningful relationships. They end up feeling more fulfilled. They feel deeper connections. They have more joy. So like, I highly recommend that you get yourself a copy. I will put a link to it down in the description where you can go get it off Amazon, or go to Amazon and check out The Giver Method by Jake Talbert, and you can go get yourself a copy. Once again, it's the best $10 you can invest in yourself. I highly recommend that you do that. Now, as I cover different principles and topics, everything, is going to be grounded from this book. And the book has so many things that are grounded in my own personal journey and my own personal story, because I think that helps it tie so much more to you, because I've been there. I'm a parent. I've been the busy 9-to-5er in a corporate job, pulling my hair out. I've been in the entrepreneur space. Like, I get it. I've been there. And so I like to share these insights so that they can help you, just like I've helped hundreds of other individuals. Now, I'm going to never forget, like, I had that period where I felt like disconnected from my own sense of purpose, where I was just going through those motions of, work and family obligation and the daily routines, but feeling nothing, like absolutely nothing. And it was like watching my own life through like a glass. Like, yeah, functionally I was there and checking the boxes, but I was totally emotionally absent. And what changed everything for me wasn't this complete overhaul. It was learning to find small moments of meaning in my existing routine. And what I love when I talk about these things and when I wrote the book is I get to do all this deep research into these topics. And so I love sharing the data behind it as well, so that you can see how it actually factually is backed by what I'm saying. Research out there consistently shows that people who regularly engage in meaningful activities, even for short periods, they show measurable improvements in life satisfaction, emotional resilience within just a few weeks. So think about that. If you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, burnt out, within the next couple of weeks, you can start to feel different. But what's even more encouraging to that is that you don't have to add anything new. You don't have to do more. It's not about adding more to an already overwhelmed plate. Okay, you already have this overwhelming schedule. Like, you just need to discover what's already there. So today I'm going to walk you through these 6, very simple and gentle principles how you reconnect with your passion and purpose right inside of life that you already are living, not by adding more. And these aren't about escaping, they're about awakening what's already been there and what's already been inside of you. And we're going to talk about how overwork actually numbs your brain's capacity for joy, and why your gifts and superpowers tend to hide out during those hard seasons, and they're just waiting for you. How you create life where your responsibilities and your passions actually support each other and not fight for space. Once again, it's going to be all grounded inside of the GIVER method, and showing you how to rediscover those things. So you can get that on Amazon or at thegivermethod.com. Down the link description, I'll not only put the link to the book, but where you can also find us on other social media. Like I said, givermethod.com has all sorts of details about our free resources and things like that are out there. Now, there are those of you out there who are like, yeah, I like this, Jake, but I'm looking for a little bit more hands-on support than maybe the book or just watching the videos. Then great. I recently opened a few one-on-one coaching and mentoring slots. So if you want to move faster through that and break through your old patterns and finally start showing up, with the kind of action-based confidence that we'll be talking about today, then you're going to find a link down in the description where you can learn more about the coaching. If this video resonates with you and you've got some sort of a stage, a podcast, a team, an event, or community where this message can make a difference, then I'd love to explore how we could bring it to your people, and really serve them, So there'll be details down in the description that we can book a call and discuss that as well. And of course, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell for notifications so that you don't miss out on any of the future content I put out. I record videos all week long. I put them out. I try to provide as much value as humanly possible. That's part of being a giver. And I wouldn't want you to miss out on any of that content. And of course, leave your comments along the way, because I love to come back and respond to them and get back to people based off what it is that they're taking away from the videos. So with that, for now, let's just talk about the gentle roadmap back to feeling alive and present and excited about your life again. And starting exactly where you are today and not some crazy shift or overhaul that you have to do. And so the first principle, which I do recommend you grab a piece of paper or that you open up a notes app or something so you can start jotting down ideas. The first one is going to be this idea of the passion archaeology dig. We're going to go back and we're looking for your dinosaur bones of passions. What were your things? Understanding that your interests, they're buried, they're not gone, okay? We're looking for where joy has been in the past. Like I said, we've buried them under all sorts of things, and so we want to go find them. And your excitement for life has vanished somewhere between endless meetings or bedtime routines or the never-ending to-do lists that happen. But here's the truth, your passions, they never did disappear. They're just buried under years of being in that overwhelmed survival mode. And when life gets really heavy, our brain literally shuts down the parts that lights us up because it's protecting us. It's not that you're failing. Your brain is wired to keep you safe and efficient. And when you're in those moments of life, that's what happens. Joy and curiosity, those are considered luxuries to your brain. So before you know it, you're crushing response, that you're taking on, and you start working through them, and maybe you're getting really good at knocking them out, but you're feeling like you're sleepwalking through your own story. And so that's where this archaeology dig, where we're going to go back through your passions, they're not gone. Why we need to find them? Because they're not gone. They're just under the layers of dust, and you don't need to bulldoze your life to find them. You just need some gentle, small moments of curiosity to start brushing them off and finding them again. So here's what I want you to do. Here's how we're going to work through this. The first thing is I want you to do a quick interest timeline. So grab a notebook or, phone app or whatever, and think back, what lit you up as a kid? What lit you up as a teenager, in your 20s, before things got so serious? Write down anything that made you lose track of time, or made your eyes light up without judgment. It's just about remembering things. If you're man, Pokemon cards lit me up like crazy. Great. It was hanging out with friends, if it was social, whatever. I don't care what the thing is. Just write it down. Once again, it's just an exercise. Just remembering what there is. And then the next thing is you start a curiosity list, where throughout your day, anytime that you feel any spark of interest, random article or headline, podcast topic, a cool skill, jot it down. Once again, you're not committing to doing anything. You're just collecting hints from your brain that's saying I'm still here. I feel like I've done pretty good about getting out of the burnout, overwhelmed mind frame since I teach people about this. I still do this one. I have on my phone a things to look into, things to consider. Where I keep bullet points of different things that just pop up throughout my day. So it's something that you can do not only now to help you start down the right path, but at the same time, it's something you can keep doing that just keeps you interested and excited in new things. And then the last thing here is, of course, going to be to you can try a 5-minute curiosity break, where you pick one of the things from that list, that you have some curiosity about, or timeline, thing that you used to do, and you're going to spend 5 minutes exploring it. No pressure. You're not trying to produce anything. Maybe it's you're going to read an article. Maybe you're going to listen to some song. Maybe you're going to watch a short video. Maybe you're going to go back and remember the thing, like, can I still do the thing from my childhood now to bring me more light? You know, whatever that thing is, doesn't matter. Just set a timer, and when that timer goes off, stop. You know, the point is to just gently wake up those old pathways without turning it into another task that becomes overwhelming. You know, this is going to be huge because it shows you that your spark is still there. It's just covered under the years of the hustle that you've been doing. And when you start even these tiny explorations, your brain slowly starts to trust like it's safe to feel curious. And those little sparks, they're the signs of your life starting to come back. You don't have to flip the world upside down. You just need to give yourself permission to remember what made you feel alive for maybe 5 minutes at a time. And that leads us really well into our second one, which is joy spotting and a joy spotting practice. So we want to train our brain to notice the moments of aliveness. Like the good, let's find the good stuff again, because it's amazing how many people that I'm like, we got to find the joy in your life. And then when we just start looking for little things, they find it. This is so, like, it gets so real for people. Like, when you've been in grind mode for way too long, your brain becomes a pro at spotting problems, constantly ignoring the good stuff. You know, like your mind's running 24/7 news channel of what's broken or needs fixing. It stops thinking about the tiny sparks of joy. You know, it doesn't look for them in the everyday thing. Once again, that's just how our brains are. Like, you know, your capacity for joy, it hasn't left. It's not that you don't have joy in your life. I guarantee you do. You're just overshadowing it by the constant of stress and survival. Once again, brain is trained to skip over the good moments and think like you don't have time for those. It's trying to protect you and your energy. And we just gotta get our brain out of that programming and that wiring, you know. So joy spotting, like, or you know, being a joy spotting process, like, it's about retaining, like in your mind. Like I'm gonna train my mind to think about those tiny sparks again, those moments when I feel even a little bit alive, and you know, it could be little things like anything, like, you know, when smell of the morning coffee, the funny text from a friend, you know, a good song on the drive home, or that one time that you finally nailed like the tricky task at work. Like these moments, like, they're already there. You know, we just stopped noticing them, and that's what this is all about. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing you're going to try is you're going to do a daily joy check-in. You know, set a reminder on your phone every few times throughout the day. And when it goes off, just ask yourself, like, what's one small thing that felt good so far? What felt good today? And write it down. It could be something as tiny as, like, I had a great shower this morning. It felt really nice being in the warm water. You know, the small win at work. Like, once again, we're not analyzing anything. We're just noticing and acknowledging it. They're like, hey, that was good. That was great today. You know, I hit a lot of green lights on the way to work today. That, to me, that's a good thing. You know, then play around with like this idea of an aliveness scale, you know, where maybe for a week you rate different parts of your day on a scale of 1 to 10, how alive or engaged you felt. And then just start to notice, like, patterns are going to start popping up. Maybe mornings light you up more than evenings. Maybe certain people drain you while others energize you. There's a reason I like to get into the office. I wake up really early as it is, and I like doing certain things in my morning because these are things that start to light me up and get me passionate about doing things, versus something midday where I just need to go into my go mode and my grind mode. So just think about things like that. Like, where's my aliveness? Where am I doing that on a scale of 1 to 10? And then the last one is like, you're going to do like a 20-second, like, think of it like a 20-second soak, okay? You know, when something good happens, and this is what's amazing, is we don't do this. We don't, like, something good does happen. Taking some time, and I say 20 seconds because it forces you to actually, like, be intentional about it, to let yourself really feel it. You know, let that laugh echo a bit longer. You know, really taste that sip of coffee. You know, whatever, soak it in. Like, it's not about turning every moment into some big gratitude, like, I'm going to write this amazing journal entry about. It's just having your brain have a chance to remember, like, oh, life has its sweet spots too. And like I said, it's about intentionality there, because too often we have that moment of, okay, that was funny, and but I got to get back to this. It's like, well, no, give yourself that chance to just digest it and feel in the moment, and notice everything else that's happening. How did other people feel? What else did you notice that was going on around you? Like, your brain will start rewiring itself to look for these things happening more often. You know, and it's so important because, like, we are ignoring the joy around us. Our brain literally, you know, you start to forget how to feel it. And when you start spotting and savoring those moments a little bit more, you're actually rebuilding your brain's ability to experience and hold on to joy. You're not just improving your day, you're rewiring your whole system to believe that, you know, you're like, this isn't about surviving. You're not in a survival mode. The truth is, like, you still, like, you know how to feel alive. You just have to remind yourself of those moments where it's actually happening around you. Now, our third one is, like, there's this activation ritual, and once again, it's very gentle in how we want to approach it. We want to move from emotional numbness to feeling more authentic. Think of that as like your wake-up call, waking up the feelings without overwhelming yourself in any sort of a way, because something like void is actually feeling our feelings after we've been stuck in this survival mode for so many ages. It can feel awkward to us. When we've been hustling for so many years, it can feel our emotions are either gone or just they feel unnatural. Trying to get excited or feel passionate, all at once, like, it can almost feel impossible. It can be exhausting and where you almost feel embarrassed about it, right? And so if you think of it like this, like, your nervous system has been on guard for so long that it learned to shut down emotions as a way of moving forward. I've been there. I've done it. I totally get it. Like, you don't need to, like, blow the doors open and have all your feelings come out at once. Been there. I've done that. It's not fun. Trust me, you don't want to do that way. You just need to gently knock. You need to enter that, like, gentle wake-up mode, as a part of this. And it's about creating these small, safe windows to invite your emotions back online without freaking your system out. We want to shock the system. Instead, like, instead of waiting for, like, the big magical moment to make you feel alive again, we're going to create these tiny and repeatable rituals that slowly remind us to feel okay. And we're talking about these small sparks, not big fireworks. The best part is, like, you decide your own pace as a part of that. What feels natural to you? So here's what I want you to do. You're going to start, the first thing is you start with this thing called a daily permission check. Okay, where you're going to pick a tiny moment each day, so maybe it's that sip of coffee in the morning. Maybe it's stepping outside for a fresh breath of air, or the second that you finish a task, whatever it is, and tell yourself, like, it's okay for me to feel good right now. Like, it's safe for me to feel this way right now. And keep it short and easy. You're not trying to, you're not forcing excitement, but just simply opening the door, like, telling yourself, hey, it's okay. I can feel good about this right now. I realize I've got a long to-do list and I've got a bunch of things I got to get done. I've got a bunch of overwhelm, but it's okay for me to take this moment and just enjoy it for a second. And then you're going to try doing these sensory wake-ups, okay? Where instead of rushing through your meal, tasting, like, let's actually taste our food. Once again, what's that? Just pause for a second. Listen to the song that you loved as a kid and see what brings up. Like, listen to it. Listen to just the music. Listen to just the words. Is there a specific instrument that you can call out within it? Like, it's amazing how that starts to light your brain up more with excitement and happiness. Touch different textures around you. Your senses are the easiest and safest way for you to connect with feelings because they ground you in the moment, and it's something that you're already doing. We just have to become in tune to them as a part of that. And then what you can do is, like, there's the small steps challenge sort of a thing, where each week you just add one tiny activity that pushes you a little bit further into feeling. I recorded a video last week where I talked about, like, we're addicted to being in our comfort zones. And that growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when we stretch ourselves a little bit. Now, I'm not asking you to overhaul things. I'm just saying that little bit. What's that thing that gets you a little bit further into feeling? Maybe it's watching a 5-minute inspirational video. Maybe it's having a short heart-to-heart talk with a friend or your child. Maybe you're going to doodle for 10 minutes. Whatever it is, like, no, there's no pressure for it to be perfect and amazing and to, like, absolutely do all this crazy stuff. You're just permission to engage for a little bit of time. Because, like, when you gently invite these emotions back rather than forcing them, you're going to build real and lasting trust in yourself. Trust me, I've done it the other way. I've had breakdowns because of it. We want to make sure that you're doing it right. We want to teach your nervous system that it's safe to be present and, like, to feel again without, the threat of any sort of overwhelm. Here's what happens. Like, slow and steady exposure to emotions is way more effective for your long-term change than trying to flip the switch. Once again, Pete, speaking from experience. It's not about becoming a brand new you overnight. Like, it's about waking up the parts of you that have been waiting for a chance to breathe for so long. Now, we're about halfway through this, so I'd love if there's anything that's already jumped out at you, any aha moments, any takeaways, please put them down in the comments. If you're like, hey, I still need to go get the book, the GIVER method, once again, you can use the link or go to Amazon, just pause the video, go get it, and then come back and finish the video. You're gonna be amazed everything that we're going to take away from this video, but also what would happen when you get the book and start implementing it. So Let's not delay anymore. Let's get into our fourth one, which is like there's a strategic energy integration and creating some sort of a method around that. I love frameworks. I love methods. So we want to talk about weaving, that rediscovered interest, something that you found, into your life while understanding what fuels you versus drains you. So there's a blend of that, your spark, bringing it back, your energy and your joy into just the real life, once again, without shocking your system. And so one of the biggest myths that keeps so many people stuck is the idea that, that your passion and responsibilities, that they can't live in the same house. I can't do that. I need to rob Peter to pay Paul type of a thing. That you have to choose between being a good parent, a dedicated business owner, a committed employee, and and then actually doing the thing that actually lights you up. That's a total lie. The problem is that after years of grinding, most of us lose track of what actually gave us energy. We start thinking that the rest, that rest that we may get, it means laying flat, and anything we love to do is just extra work. But the truth is that these activities and moments are what actually give you so much more energy and make you more resilient through the times that you go through that are hard. They don't drain you, they recharge you. It's about integrating them integrating them to be what's already part of your day-to-day, what's already on your plate. It's about flavoring what you already have there. Instead of dreaming about running away to some beach and to find yourself, I'm going to go, discover who I am, or creating some impossible, separation of work and passion or whatever. This is about weaving those into those sparks right into where your life is right now and what you already do. Maybe you bring your curiosity into how you parent. You turn your business meetings into creative brainstorming sessions. You make your lunch breaks a little more adventurous. When you do this, your life stops feeling like two separate pieces, or you show up as different. I have to be a totally different person in these places. It becomes one that's aligned, and it becomes a way more energized experience. So what I want you to do is I want you to start with this idea of an energy and spark map. For a week, I want you to just track the activities that leave you feeling heavy. So think of it like they're going to be looking at a -3 to a +3 scale. If it left you feeling heavy, give it a -3. The ones that made you feel super alive, give it a +3. And then look for those surprise sparks. Maybe it's great combo with a friend, or a creative project, or even a random topic that you felt curious about. Whatever those things are, just notice what they are that you're I never realized that gave me so much energy. And then you can do an integration scan where you look at those things, those sparks that are there. You ask, well, how can I slip that into my normal life? Maybe you love learning and you can add a fun podcast while you're doing your errands. Maybe problem solving excites you and you could tackle a family or work challenge as some sort of creative puzzle. Whatever it is, just find whatever overlaps for you. And you don't have to be perfect at it. Just trying to get it integrated in some way and noticing which ones work and which ones didn't, and continuing to try the next one. And then the next one is do a weekly spark experiment where you choose one small way this week to bring that energy into your routine, whatever it is, and then protect it like it's an important meeting. Put it on your calendar. This is when I'm going to be doing this. Notice how it impacts your vibe, your patience, your excitement, whatever. And when you start seeing the results, it becomes really addictive in the best way to go start doing that. Blending your sparks back in, once it's not just about creating these feel-good moments. It's about transforming how you show up everywhere else. When you feel fueled, you're more present with your family, you're more creative at work, you're more fun to be around. There's a ton of research out there that shows that people who intentionally blend what energizes them into real life, they're more satisfied and more resilient and less stuck in the soul-sucking grind that people find themselves in. Once again, don't run away from your life, to feel alive again. It's not about that. You just have to start sprinkling those sparks back into life that you already have. Now, our fifth one is all about this meaningful responsibility framework. So creating sustainable rhythms where your purpose and duty enhance each other. Using responsibility to make yourself feel alive again. Most of us think that passion and responsibility, it's oil water, they separate. I can put them in the same place, but they're never going to mix well. We tell ourselves, I can finally finish all that stuff when I'll get back to it, what I care about when I've got the time. But what if I told you those responsibilities that you have to do, they're actually not obstacle blocking you? Because the truth is, you don't add another thing to your already jam-packed schedule. You just need to run away. People will think I gotta run away. I'm gonna run away to Bali. I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna do this thing. No, you don't need that. You just need what you already have, what you're already doing, and ask yourself, well, how can I bring more of me, authentically me, into this? You know, tons of data out there shows that like when people see the bigger purpose in the stuff that they already do, like making dinner, answering emails, helping a colleague, it completely transforms how they feel. And instead of dragging through it, they start seeing it as like this extension of who they are and what they care about. So what I want you to do is I want you to start by doing a purpose check where you're going to pick a routine that you do. Something you do all the time, making lunches for your kids, preparing the weekly report. And then like ask, well, who does this help? What value does it show or does it create? And all of a sudden, like packing lunches isn't a chore, it's about an act of love and care. That report isn't about making someone's job easier, it's about supporting your team. So find what yours are. And then you do a blend, like a weekly blend session where like once a week you spend a few minutes looking ahead and you say like, well, where can I add more things that light me up into what I already have going on? Maybe throw favorite playlist on while I'm cleaning. Maybe be a little more curious into like in my next work meeting. Maybe turn a family dinner into a mini adventure. Try something new. And then like get into your values. Like what's values mode? In your biggest roles as a parent, the entrepreneur, or a team member, whatever, ask like, how could I show up more as my real and authentic self? Could I bring more love through storytelling to my family? Could I add more creativity to my routines at work? Like the small ways that starts to happen, because when you blend meaning with responsibility, you stop believing that someday this is going to happen and you start feeling more alive now. You don't need all the hours in the day or all this time to go do that. People feel more satisfied and less burned out, more energized when they start doing this sort of a thing. You don't choose between responsibility and of being an adult or like loving your life at the same time. And of course that leads us to the sixth and final principle, which is like this creative expression, like a reawakening, reconnecting with your natural creativity and problem solving joy. When you bring back that creative spark back into your life, you're reclaiming that, like, I made this feeling, this is me. And it like it lights up your brain like crazy, because life gets busy, and we've talked about that. And creativity is usually one of the first things that starts to get tossed out. We tell ourselves like, I'll paint, I'll write, I'll play, I'll whatever with ideas later, after all the important stuff gets done. But the thing is, like, creativity isn't just about painting a masterpiece or writing a novel. Like, it's about simple joy of making something that feels like you. Whether you're rearranging your living room or you're problem solving a work in a clever way, like you can try a new twist at dinner. Like there's all sorts of ways that you can do that, but when you're stuck in that survival mode for a while, your brain starts seeing creativity as unnecessary. But the truth is, like, it's one of the greatest energy resources we have. There's all sorts of stuff out there that says that even small acts of creativity, it will light up parts of your brain to make you feel more motivated and alive. It doesn't have to be fancy or perfect. Like I said, rearranging your living room, trying something new at dinner, trying a new tactic of conversations with your family, like whatever. Like it's just the little things that light you up. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing is like start with this idea of like a daily creation challenge, where every day for a week, maybe like make one tiny thing, like with no pressure or no judgment. Like I'm gonna doodle in my margins. I'm gonna try a new spice with dinner. I'm gonna stack books in a fun way on my shelf. I'm gonna write a silly line in my notes app. Whatever. Like you're not trying to impress anyone. You don't have to show anybody. It's just about waking up parts of you like that of love and play and exploration. And then next, what you want to do is try like the fun problem solver, where you pick one small challenge for this week, and maybe moving morning routines feels like chaos. Like your work tasks feel overwhelming. Like instead of just grinding through, ask like, how can I make this more fun or more me? Turning the chores into a game with the kids, a creative, quirky playlist to get through a work project, whatever. Like enjoy the act of experimenting with it and look back and see how you felt about it. And then lastly, try the everyday art twists. Like find the small way to add creative touch to what you're already doing. You send a funny voice note instead of a text. You set up family dinner with like a theme of some kind. Tell people to dress up for dinner at that night. Whatever. Like bring more of your personality to your next presentation. Whatever. Like you're weaving this creativity into life that you're already living, rather than seeing it as a separate project altogether. Because when you start creating again, even in small ways, you reignite parts of you that are waiting to come back to life, and it feels like you feel more present, you feel more playful, you feel more like you. And here's a bonus, like there's tons of data out there that shows that people who engage in regular creative activities are more satisfied with life and become better problem solvers across the board in all parts of their life. Your creativity spark is not a luxury, it's part of what makes you feel alive. So bring it back to life, one tiny and fun experiment at a time. Now I want to just leave you with this as we wrap up. The part of you that used to feel alive, that full spark that is there, like I said, it's not gone. You're not broken in any way. You don't need to lose, like, you didn't lose them, they didn't just disappear. version of you is still there. It's just quietly underneath all that busyness and the survival mode layers that help get you through maybe some tough seasons. Like I said, I remember when I'm feeling that completely flat, yeah, and going through the motions, ticking the boxes, showing up everyone, like, this is who I'd become. Like, that passion, excitement were other people, you know, or for earlier version, you know, me where I didn't have as many responsibilities. But the truth is that I discovered, like, the numbness wasn't permanent. It was my body's way of protecting me when things felt heavy. And what I learned, and I've helped tons of people with, is that you don't get that spark back. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect or your to-do list to be empty. Like, once again, spoiler alert, that stuff never happens. You're still going to have a to-do list and things won't feel perfect. You just have to start small, really small. You know, maybe spending a few minutes exploring something. Maybe it's pausing to enjoy the morning coffee, whatever the thing may be. The beautiful thing is, like, it's just about, you know, it's a process designed to be gentle. I'm not forcing any sort, you're not forcing excitement into things or faking big breakthroughs. Like, just making these little choices that you lean into instead of, like, running on autopilot. Every moment that you choose that curiosity over, like, guilt or frustration, every time you decide to bring a little more of you into what you're doing, that's you coming back to life one small spark at a time. Your gifts, those natural strengths, your superpowers, they don't disappear. They've been resting and waiting for you to create the safe space for them to wake up again. So you can start that process right here, right now, exactly with where you are. Remember, the GIVER method, it's not about choosing between being responsible and being passionate. It's about weaving your passions into those responsibilities, you know, that actually fuel each other. You know, you stop seeing joy as a distraction, start seeing it as fuel for everything else that you may need. Now, if you feel like diving deeper into your journey of waking up your passions inside of you, like inside of your real life, you know, not just some imaginary future life, then like I said, that's where you'll want to go. Grab yourself a copy of the GIVER method on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description where you can go get it. Or like I said, you can go on Amazon, look up the GIVER method by Jake Talbert. You know, it's the blueprint for building a life of meaning and responsibility that, you know, where you can live with those things in harmony, where they team up. And of course, if you feel like you're the person who wants some more support, more one-on-one attention, like I said, I did open up a few coaching spots, so you can find the link down below, where you can, you know, we can discuss the ways of having someone who's maybe, you know, walked this path before, you know, understands a little bit, you know, where it is, can help walk you through the process of getting back into that spark. And of course, if you run a podcast, lead a team, host an event, have some sort of group that needs this message, let's connect, because I'd love to bring this to your people in a way that's real and actual and deeply personal. You'll find that link down below as well. And if this video landed, drop me a comment. Let me know what hit home for you. I love to respond to those. And of course, don't forget, like the video, hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications so that you don't miss out on the future content. But here's what I want to leave you. Here's the last thing I want you to remember. You know, remember most of all, feeling alive again isn't something that magically happens. It's something that you build in the small and intentional choices, like to reconnect with what matters. You don't have to feel guilty about wanting it. You don't have to apologize for needing it. And you definitely don't need anyone's permission to do it. Your passion, it's not gone, it's just sleeping. You know, and that little gentle, loving attention, you can wake it up and invite it back into your life, not by forcing it, but by welcoming it like an old friend who's been waiting to come in and say, hey, it's time again, let's go. And with that, I'll just say, hey, thank you so much for taking the time, hanging out with me today, watching the video. You know, I can't wait to see what you create next, what's on the horizon for you, because I promise you, the universe will pay you back as you start to light yourself back up and show up as more authentically you. So we'll catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.